If 41 Republicans stood together and voted against cloture because we said we do not support the amendment that Majority Leader Reid has filed to fund Obamacare, when we told our constituents we oppose Obamacare, we meant it. Yeah. So we are not going to be complicit in giving Harry Reid the ability to fund Obamacare.
Some have threatened a government shutdown if they can't shut down this law. Others have actually threatened an economic shutdown by refusing to pay America's bills if they can't delay the law. That's not going to happen as long as I'm president.
Well, the president today out at a community college just outside D.C. trying to get young people there to go out and sign up for Obamacare starting October 1st. The Affordable Health Care Act and the health care exchange is going into effect that day. Let's bring in our panel. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Juan Williams, columnist with The Hill, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, Judge, what about Ted Cruz? He's back on the floor again today saying Republicans need to stand together and filibuster this cloture effort, which is going to be in the Senate tomorrow. And he explains it that once you get over that hurdle, Senator Reid then he will amend the House bill, strip out the defund of Obamacare with just 51 votes. What about that effort, and as he continues to do it today?
Boy, I wish him Godspeed. In the past 48 hours, I was saying, go, Ted, go. This is exactly the lesson that Republican leadership needs when people stand for the principles on which they voted, on which they ran, when they are small government principles, and when the voters respond with polls, and when the voters respond with money going into campaign coffers. And if more Republicans stood by what Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Rand Paul argued throughout the night while the rest of us were asleep, maybe Harry Reid would be stopped in his tracks. Maybe the government would learn to live within its means. I don't know that there's enough votes to do this, but they ought to be able to get 41 votes to stop whatever Harry Reid wants to do, which is borrow another $1 trillion.
So if, let's say the votes aren't there, and the Senate then sends it back to the House funding Obamacare, what do you think the House should do? Ted Cruz would like to have the House one by one send over spending bills for Harry Reid and the Senate to deal with.
I will be very disappointed, and honestly, I think Speaker Boehner's leadership will be jeopardized, though we heard some language from Kevin McCarthy which might undermine what I'm about to say. If they don't do that, if they form a coalition of Republicans and Democrats in the House, big government Republicans and most of Mrs. Pelosi's troops, to pass a continuing resolution over the objection of the small government Republicans, I think this is the last year that John Boehner will be the Speaker.
Juan.
Well, I think I come from a different universe because
wait a minute, we're next to each other.
I know, but I think I'm operating in a separate universe, Judge, because what I see is a war between Republicans here taking place, and one in which most of the Republicans, leadership, including McConnell, is very clear that what Ted Cruz is doing is not going to result in any defunding of Obamacare. Instead, what it is doing is building public sentiment against Republicans and damaging Republican prospects going forward into the next midterm election.
Well, what Senator Cruz has done is fire up conservatives, clearly.
No, I think he's fired up Tea Party conservatives, a very small percentage of conservatives. I think there are conservatives who are concerned about Obamacare in general. There's no question about that. Strong opposition there. But when you ask people about defunding Obamacare in order to shut down the government, I think it's pretty clear that people don't like that.
A new Bloomberg poll out when talking about the debt ceiling as well, which is obviously October 17th. It's the next real goalpost we're facing. How should the debt ceiling be viewed by Congress? Require spending cuts, 61%. No conditions, 28%. Not sure, 11%. Listen to the president today on the debt ceiling.
I will not negotiate on anything when it comes to the full faith and credit of the United States of America.
So if he's saying that, Charles, 61% of people will be disappointed.
This is a very important poll, and it's quite astonishing the degree to which Americans not only want to see a connection between raising the debt ceiling and lowering spending, but but they are asking that they be linked and that they are critical of the president, because his position is, I won't even speak about this. I want a clean raising of the debt ceiling, i.e., I raise it without anything else happening. This is a 2-to-1 majority against the president on this. On the other threat, which is to shut down the government of the continuing resolution, public opinion is precisely the opposite, 4-to-1 against the threat of shutting down. So if you're a Republican, and I agree with the judge about the passion and the rhetoric and stirring up people over this, you've got to use intelligence. You have two clubs. You can use the CR, shutting the government, or use the debt ceiling. You've got 61% of Americans behind you on the debt ceiling, where they want the president to engage in negotiations which would end up with giving something, spending restraint, etc., to the GOP. Or you have the CR, the continuing resolution, where Americans are 4-to-1 opposed. So why would you stake everything on something where Americans are hugely against you, rather than get something easy on the CR and do the hard stuff, the spending cuts, the pipeline, stripping, delaying Obamacare a year, on the debt ceiling where America is behind you? This is a question of simple application of intelligence. It's not about a commitment to principle or a belief in conservative ideas.
I pushed Congressman McCarthy on that. He didn't get to whether the battle is on the CR or the debt ceiling, but there's a battle somewhere.
I'm giving him free advice.
Judge, I want to play one more soundbite from the president today. Get your reaction to it.
But you don't have to take my word for it. If you talk to somebody who said, well, I don't know, I was watching Fox News and they said this is horrible. and you can say, you know what, don't take my word for it. Go on the website. I promise you, if you go on the website and it turns out you're going to save $100, $200, $300 a month on your insurance, or you'll be able to buy insurance for the first time, even if you didn't vote for me, I'll bet you'll sign up for that health care plan.
Judge, it's a familiar refrain for the president when he's on a campaign to use Fox News. Pieces like Jim Engel's, where the lowest level on the health care exchange, the bronze plans, may save you money on the premium, but they don't tell you that the deductible is $6,000 a year. And if you go, you're not hearing that other places, then perhaps our reporting, I don't know.
I'm happy to learn that either he or somebody in his behalf watches us because they want to know what we're saying. And even when he pokes his elbow in our ribs, every knock's a boost. But this program is such a disaster. Nobody is lining up to sign up for it. He has to go out there and sell it all over again because it doesn't work, because you can't keep your insurance, you can't keep your doctor, you don't know how much the deductible is going to be, you don't know what your coverage will be. Contrary to all the promises he made, he's got to campaign all over again for it.
Well, the administration would say, hey, listen, it starts October 1st. Yeah. We'll see how it pans out. Check it out, compare it yourself, and let's see how it goes. So all these predictions could be up in the air.
Yeah, and what we know from the polling that has been done is that young people are enthusiastic. So, I mean, it's not the case that nobody's signing up. It's not the case that nobody's interested. And, it's so interesting to listen to some of these statistics that were cited by Senator Cruz. I mean, the fact is the Congressional Budget Office says if we defund Obamacare, it's going to add cost to our deficit. If we keep it, we actually save money. But you don't hear that. It becomes at a point like a cavern, and you just hear your own echoes on either side. I think there's a real need here for some reality. There are going to be glitches, there are going to be problems, but does it address the problem of a large number of uninsured people in our society for the first time having the opportunity to have health care?
Today, by the way, the small business exchange pushed back as well.
Look, I think we can have all the arguments we want. Reality is going to speak. It's going to start October 1. It's going to accelerate on January 1. I think the results will be in soon. And I would not like to be a Democrat defending this in the middle of next year when the results are in. I think the way the plan is devised is catastrophic. And for young people particularly, the whole idea of the plan is to use the doubling of the premiums for young people as a way to subsidize other people. So it looks like a free lunch. But if you're a young person, it's a disaster.
Next up, the